Alright, AOD-E. $13mm on the tail housing. $8mm on the speed sensor. Yes, I forgot. We should have. Okay, they've eliminated it already. So there used to be a sleeve right here on the early models. 94, I guess they already eliminated it. So we don't have to worry about that. 10mm on the pump. On the ones that had it, there was a sleeve that went over this here, and on the governor feed, which it doesn't have, there would be a pin inside of there. You take the snap ring off, take the sleeve off, and then pull the pin out. If you didn't take the pin out, it'd probably fall out and you wouldn't notice it. And it would not work when you put it back together if you did not put the pin back in it. 10mm on the pan. All the early stuff in it looks like. Pull the tab out and release the harness. Push this tab in, releases that one. $8mm. This little plate, our accumulator spring, our 2-3 accumulator. It's amazing that this thing's lasted this long with these aluminum ones, because they were horrible. Check your bores real close, because these aluminum ones were real bad about caulking and eating the bore up. It's going to get replaced with the rubber molded. So this cover here, our spring is busted, so our bore's probably screwed up. Yep. It's gouged enough it probably can't be fixed, so we'll buy the sleeve for it. Overdrive servo. And we can update this also. It's got a sleeve on it. We can update this to the 475W. Looks like we're going to have a lot of parts we're going to have to buy for this one. A reverse servo. Surprisingly, the cover's still pretty pliable. Rubbers on this one is getting about halfway hard. There's grooves on here. It identifies how long this pin is. This is a 2 groove. See what our band looks like. Now you can use a pump puller on that. Or I just get a bolt and I screw into there. Get a heel bar, get on it. Almost. Millimeters on a stator. These washers are selective. There's a number on the back. Most of them are number 3 in natural color, just like this one. Check your bushings. Check the surface here for where your gears ride. Your ring lands, that your bushings haven't worn out and wobbled on there and torn up your ring grooves. Check your stator back here where the forward drum rides. Make sure it's not ring cut. Little tabs on here, you just bend these out. That'll come off. Your piston. Pump gears. The inner gear goes with the bevel down. Make sure your converter hasn't beat this all to hell right there. Make sure this is not all grooved up. And make sure our pump pocket's not too worn out. Looks pretty good. Surface is okay. Band is always burnt. Our intermediates look okay. We'll take the drums apart in a minute. one of your shaft is in there, move it back and forth and see how much play is on that drum. It's about half feet out. Almost always that overdrive direct drum is going to have to be replaced. You got a bearing, our hub, another bearing, sun shell. Check right in here where the reverse drum rides. This is not that bad at all. Make sure that this is not spinning on the shell. Our bearing, our sun gear, bushing's getting pretty worn. Our snap ring, we got our anti-rattle clip that's up in here. Or anti-clunk spring, I guess, not a rattle clip. It likes to dig into the case. I recommend that you replace this with a late style 475W. I found it really doesn't matter. They both have their problems. They both don't stop this. They both don't stop the center support from clunking back and forth and beating up and getting worn out right in here. So look that over real close. Our low sprag. And I've only seen it one time. But these that are riveted onto here, I have seen this come loose. So check and make sure it's not loose. Make sure your pinions are not pitted and not wobbling around. Check your bushings. Reverse band. These green ones are much better than the tan ones. They don't go bad near as often. And this is already the other style. This is not an AOD-E. This is a 470. Our hub. Our washer and bearing goes on here. Take the drum apart in a minute. Got another bearing down here. You can tell it's a 470 because it does, the drum came out. If this was an AOD-E, this ring gear would have been smaller and this drum would not have slid, would not slide out of there. Alright, make sure our surfaces are okay. Our teeth are not chewed up. There's a snap ring the band rides on top of. Bearing in the case. Check the governor bore. Make sure it's not ring cut. Alright, the case is empty now. We'll take the drums apart. Overdrive directs. Reverse. There's a bearing between. There's a 4 clutch and a 3 clutch. Pressure plate will say which one you have. This one's a 4. It's wavy snap ring down here. Pop it out. And you can take the drum apart. This big wave to it. This bell valve spring is fairly bad about breaking. There's a ring that goes underneath it. You either shoot air to it, or you can just pry the piston out. Forward drums, fairly bad about cracking around here. Clutches are real bad about wearing down. The bevel plates, there's two different ones. There's a thin one and a thick one. Snap ring, retainer, return spring, our piston. Check back here, we're on these splines where that shaft goes, and make sure they're not stripped out. Not very common, but it does happen. Return snap ring, return spring, piston, and like I said, almost always these splines right here are worn out. Almost all the time this drum gets replaced. Alright, let me go write this one up, and we'll be back. Alright, we're going to do an LS kit two-wheel drive filter. Beat the crap out of the camera there. Two-wheel drive filter, pump bushing, case bushing. Case bushing's always worn out. Always replace it. It'll keep you from ring cutting the case back there. Sun gear bushing, overdrive band, overdrive servo pin. I didn't show checking it for being worn out. I don't even check them anymore. They're all worn out, so I just buy the Sonax pin. You're either going to need to do that, or you're going to need to bore the case out and put a sleeve in it. I just buy the pin from Sonax. One-piece overdrive servo. Update that. Reverse servo 2-groove. The 1-2 accumulator piston. The cover, the spring. It's the lower spring. It's white. There are different ones for different applications. 2-3 accumulator, the molded one. The shift solenoid assembly that keep you from breaking your drums, as far as I'm concerned. Pretty sure that's what's causing them. That and that valve sticking in the valve body. We'll go through that when we rebuild it. And the overdrive direct drum and a torque converter. My vanes are leaning right. I think that's it. We'll do the rebuild when we get to it. Okay, I forgot to put on the paperwork the sleeve kit for the 1-2 accumulator, so it's going to come with the accumulator. So I marked that off the paperwork. I'm going to go ahead and put a zip kit in this because the valves are a little worn out in the valve body. And it comes with the overdrive servo pin, so I'll mark that off. And like I said, we'll be back when we do the rebuild on this, and we'll catch you then.